In this video, we're going to be checking out the NECA Toys Predator Jungle Hunter Ultimate Predator. With these ultimate releases from NECA, you always expect that there's going to be tons of accessories to come included with the figures, but before we have a look at that, I've got my old tape measure here. Let's get some dimensions going for Predator. The Ultimate Jungle Hunter Predator, if we put the tape measure right up to the top of his helmet, stands exactly, I would say exactly 8 inches. It could be a little bit taller, but give or take about 8 inches in height. Let's first have a look at the defaulted figure out of packaging, which looks absolutely spectacular. You guys often frequently ask me, of a specific genre, case in point, like for example, the Predator here, what's the best figure to go with? And usually what I always end up saying is get the ultimate version. They've granted released tons of classic Predators in the past, but if you can always hold out hope, and get your hands on the ultimate versions, whether it be Freddy Krueger, whether it be Jason Voorhees, whether it be Predators here, they always get you the most bang for your buck. And you'll clearly see when we have a look at all the accessories that come included with Jungle Hunter. But again, defaulted out of packaging looks glorious. Of course, utilizing some much needed extra articulation that the newer Predator figures all started to carry. Of course, what you get though with the Ultimate, some extra paint that was maybe lacking a little bit on the original releases. The helmet is just beautiful, just absolutely love it, like the little lasers here on the sides. The coloring is a nice choice as well, more of a muted, duller silver instead of that being really, really shiny. Of course, you've got your dreads on the back there of the one said Predator. I have noticed though that the tentacles, or not tentacles, but the dreads here, got a little pinched on the side of his head, so I might want to just kind of straighten out. So it's a little bit more the same that I've got it on this side here. Of course, again, they paint very clean, very precisely applied here to the torso area, which kind of makes more of a creamier color, like a creamier white beige as his primary color choice. And then you've got some nice speckling there on the sides of a darker brown. You'll see a lot more of that too when we have a look at the unmasked head sculpt. Again, he's got his gauntlet here, one with the extended blade. The blade does come out. I would say though, changing the hand, there's one hand particularly, it's very difficult. That of course I had to make sure I wasn't going to accidentally snap these blades, as they are of course a little thinner of a plastic. Got the necklace of the various skulls across its neck, and the top there as well. Some spinal cord. This looks great. There's the back of it right there. So nice make use of some kind of a more copper, kind of silver color, making use there. And of course he's got the countdown read display. Apparently he's set himself already to self-destruct. I like that always opens and closes. Yeah, again, from head to toe, from the very top to the very bottom, I mean, he's just a fantastic looking representation of Predator. This is sort of thing where, if you've kind of collected these over the course of the years, I myself being one of those good examples, you can still kind of take a moment to appreciate when you get ultimate versions of these guys. Again, you got a little bit more in the way of bells and whistles, but I always find, like, again, the paint application on the Ultimates seem to be a little bit more elevated than the original ones that we've seen before. Of course, one Predator could not be a Predator without his shoulder-mounted cannon, and of course that's included as well. It does have a hinge and a ball joint where you can rotate the cannon. Little pegs on the top and peg on the bottom here, and you've probably seen these countless times. One of the reasons also probably why the hair is slightly to the side. There's a little just a little ledge right there, a little notch that this part here sits underneath. And then while you're trying not to get the hair in the way, easier said than done, you can kind of just wedge it on the bottom and then kind of just pry it, kind of force over top of the shoulder until you've got the cannon in place. And again, that's a completed look. That's how everything looks, and it's perfect. And actually, this is a good instance too, where normally I would have said I would have affixed this somehow with glue, because sometimes the plasma casters or the shoulder cannons don't really stay always in place. I have to admit though, like the friction, I'm holding it actually just from the cannon. It seems to be doing a great job. And this is also one instance where you wouldn't want to be able to permanently affix this, because when we eventually get to the interchangeable head, this part would have already been off of the movie Predator. So again, there's the Predator in a nutshell. Lots and lots of detail, lots of paint. Beautiful looking piece. Comes with some interchangeable hands, which we can look at as well. I always kind of like displaying the figures with kind of one grasping hand, you know, one hand doing something, one hand. So in this instance, I might probably have making use of him holding one of the skulls, and then the other hand kind of just extended outward. Why don't we go ahead and do that right now? So we'll go ahead and take the arm, and I'm just going to wiggle the wrist off. And again, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's a very small peg, but here becomes the tricky part, because you want to very carefully wiggle that onto the ball joint without disrupting those blades at all. And again, having it just even like that looks so very cool. And then the other hand, on the other hand, I can actually have him holding some skulls. Before we do that though, he comes with one of the launching kind of like just plasma shots coming out from his blaster. And there's a little peg at the top here. We've kind of seen these with the creature packs too. There was a Predator pack that had this. And it clamps into place, but again, like, you got to be very careful because it's such a very narrow neck at the top there. You don't want to apply too much pressure, and that breaking right off. As you can see, it looks pretty cool. It does take a little away from the figure itself, in all honesty, because when you start sculpting plastic to mimic some projectile coming out of a weapon, it doesn't always look like it's supposed to be a projectile. Sometimes it just looks like, in this instance, it looks like actually just a sculpted piece of plastic. I may not favor displaying him with it. I appreciate the fact that NECA would have included it, but I probably will not likely display him with that. What I will, however, display him with is one of the 2 skulls that come included with Ultimate Jungle Hunter. They're not that much different from one another, even though the one that has the spinal cord seems to have a slightly more narrow lower jaw, but some spectacular looking paint in those little recessed areas of the eyes, the nose, and especially from the sides of the skull. And again, like, you can have them displayed either. What I would likely end up displaying him with is kind of what I did at the beginning of this review, is pry the hand open and just kind of pry the fingers open, I should say, and then wedge the spinal cord, reattach the hand, of course, and just kind of have him dangling, as if you're standing at the top of the trees there, dangling the severed, oh, I love that, the severed spine with the skull. That looks spectacular. So there's a couple of different options of ways you can display the Predator. Of course, one of the other go-tos, and this may be your go-to, is we'll just first take the cannon off. We'll put that to the side. Haven't forgotten about it, but of course for what we're going to do next, he does come with this. This could be, I would say, my favorite unmasked Predator head sculpt. Of course, it's been reused before, but there's something to be said for the amount of paint and just like the quality of paint actually that they applied to this makes this one very distinctly different versus the ones before that didn't quite really read to me as much the like depth of paint. Like, I really appreciate the rich blacks that they've incorporated to the sides. You got the browns and the speckles on the top there as well. Just a super, super cool face sculpt. And there's his dreads on the back there as well. He does come with a removable helmet. Now, if you are wondering, does the helmet fit the face? Well, it actually doesn't. It's in way, no shape or form supposed to be actually applied to the head, because as you can see, it leaves a considerable gap, and the mandibles on the front, whoops, stick too far out. Almost dropped the helmet. Stick too far out to actually get the helmet to be completely attached. And I really would entertain the idea anyways. If the head does come like this, why would you necessarily need it's always cool for a head reveal. You know, you can take the helmet off, but really it accomplishes it just perfectly fine by having the helmeted version on, and then you can just swap it out for the unhelmeted, as you see right here. Now let's go ahead and take that off right now. Grab the torso. I'm just going to wiggle the top head off, and you might find over the course of that, one of the necklaces will pop off. It's already done that for me a couple of times now. And we just stretch the dreads out just so that they don't get caught at all. And there you have, oh, love it. There you have the unhelmeted version of the Predator. Now, I guess you could go a couple of different routes, because we have gotten a ton, and I do mean a ton, of different Predators over the course of time. You could easily just swap this head out for one that has the mandibles completely extended outward as an option that you could do. I kind of like the closed mouth, because it's kind of like the first way that we've seen the Predator when he eventually takes the helmet off, drops it to the ground, into the mud sort of thing. And then the mandibles here just start wiggling as he's looking at Dutch. And it's only then that he eventually extends them outward. But his initial look, he has the mandibles closed in. And boy, oh boy, does that ever look nice. Let's have a look at his posability. We, of course, can't forget posability after all this. His head is on a ball joint, as we've already discussed, being the way, of course, everything pegs into place. Shoulders hinge outward. And I like that the shoulder plate is a separate piece where it doesn't get in the way of moving the arm. There's nothing worse than having all that great sculpt and you can't really do anything with the arm because, of course, armor and stuff like that is all in the way. It does have a hinge in the elbow, which actually serves as a double hinge. There's a hinge right there and a hinge right there. And then he's also got a ball joint in the hand. I find like this one hand is a little on the loose side, and I've tried pushing it like all the way in. It just, by its nature, just seems like it's loose, which is slightly unfortunate. You've got the upper torso kind of ball joint swivel hinge going on there. The legs split outward, as well as a forward and back motion. Not too much. By about there, you can move the legs forward and back. He's got a double hinge on the knee, and he's got a ball joint on the foot. To also mention as well, he's got peg holes on the undersides of his feet, so if you have, say, just a extra display stand kicking around, I don't know what this one was from, but you can make use of that if you want to get some more dynamic poses out of your Predator. No stranger really to the Predator figure line, having already collected so many over the years as NECA has been releasing them. There's still something to be said when it comes to the Ultimate figure line. NECA does a little bit more extra, goes above and beyond, and basically throws in all the bells and whistles when it comes to the Ultimate figure line. They've done it so much with the Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy's. They've done it, of course, with the Jason Voorhees, and now having done it now with Predator here, I think this is basically the best Predator that you can get for your money. If you guys ever ask, what is the best Predator figure to get? I would probably say this one right here, if you want to get the Predator from the original movie. The interchangeable heads is an awesome touch. Of course, I love the additional skulls, the interchangeable hands. There's really a lot that you get for your money. And if you guys ever ask, what is the best figure to go with, at least in an instance such as the Predator, I would have to say the NECA Ultimate Jungle Hunter Predator as the go-to for what you should be picking up. Today we were having a look, though, at the NECA Toys Predator. This was the Ultimate Jungle Hunter version. If you guys like this video, certainly hit it with a like down below. If you haven't also had a chance to subscribe to this channel yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that little subscribe button down below, and you won't miss future videos coming onto this channel. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. See you next time.